Good morning. Today I'd like to talk about a topic that often comes up in class when I introduce a new technique and a student will ask, well, what if they do this or what if they do that? You'll also see it online when someone posts a self-defense technique and immediately the comments are flooded with, oh, that would never work in this situation or that wouldn't work in this situation. And you'll also see it in discussions regarding a systems or school's rank system and what exactly it means to be a black belt. And that is the distinction between execution of technique and application of technique. And they are two different concepts, and confusion between them can lead to a potentially dangerous situation. So I thought we would break the distinction down a little bit today. An example that I often use in class is the opening of the Yang short form, in which you step out, sitting on clouds, followed by parting horse's mane. To practice the execution of technique, I start with a grab from behind, and at first when I'm executing or performing the technique, I'm focused on the principles of self-defense, namely getting heavy, body versus limb, no daylight, and constant motion. And with my partner being compliant, it allows me to practice my self-defense principles as well as the situational principles, in that I need to maintain my balance while affecting his vision, breathing, or balance, hopefully to disrupt his focus. And I want to maintain a neutral spine using my hips by moving my feet. And through repetition, I get comfortable with all the principles behind the technique. And that's what I try to emphasize to the students, that it's not the technique that is the important part, it's the principles behind the technique. Because there's no way I could teach every conceivable technique. I don't know every conceivable technique. Every style, every system is a little different. But just learning how to perform or execute the technique is not enough. Eventually, I need to learn how to apply the technique. And that takes us into a different realm where now my partner is not so compliant. At first, he isn't going to go hard, but in a realistic situation, he's not just going to stand there. Most likely, he'll be pulling me backwards. In which case, I need to get my balance, and that's where you'll see the foot stomp, or the shin scrape, or the rib shot, the headbutt. None of those are going to break that grip, but if I can affect vision, breathing, balance, and disrupt his focus for just a moment, hopefully I can get my balance, and that will allow me then to perform the technique. So we start with easy resistance, then the resistance gradually builds to the point where now he's much more forcefully pulling me backwards. I can't get my balance. I have to remember my principles. So being heavy may require me to drop all the way to the ground. So in that scenario, application of technique now looks quite different than our initial execution of technique. But that is the gradual learning process. And again, it's important to emphasize those principles because every student is built differently, moves differently, thinks differently. And that is where the art aspect of it comes in. It becomes a means of self-expression. But first, you have to learn how to execute the technique before you can learn to apply the technique. And therein lies the distinction between the two that often creates confusion with a school or system's ranking system. Because a first degree black belt, first dan, first step, typically means you've learned how to execute all the techniques. But that's where the real learning begins. And occasionally you will hear about a black belt getting their butt handed to them by someone with no training. And then the question becomes, well, is that system or style or instructor garbage and teaching them worthless information? No, the confusion usually lies in they thought that first degree black belt meant they learned how to fight. And again, the first degree simply means you've learned how to execute, but have not necessarily learned yet how to apply technique. And if they don't understand that difference, it can put them in potentially harmful situations. So I think that is a distinction every school needs to make clear, because unfortunately some commercial schools will sell that first degree black belt as the ultimate goal, as the ultimate symbol of mastery, when it's just the first step in a very long process. Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a good day.